Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely, wonderful, not at all evil co-host Alexander Volz. Say hello.
Totally not evil.
Not even a little bit. Now with that, is that a baseball shirt?
It is a baseball shirt.
Doesn't get any more not evil than baseball.
Because how will anybody know LA sports teams are good at sports?
I'm telling you, because of the riots, Alex.
If I don't wear a championship shirt every time they win one.
That's right. LA won multiple this year.
Yes. I'm working. If anyone has any connects for the Dos Angeles shirt in an XL,
Dos Angeles,
get at me. Let me know. I can't find it in XL.
This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. It's a new discography, more or less, per episode. And today we will be discussing
Emperor.
Absolutely. If you want to help us and support us, please subscribe on youtube.com/everyalbumever, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave 5-star ratings, reviews, whatever. Tell your friends, I guess. And you can follow me on Instagram at Pope Jesse Ventura, as well as Alex at
Mother Puncture.
Along with 99% of all of our episodes, there will be a Spotify playlist. There should be a link in the description of wherever you're listening or watching. And if you want to join our Patreon for bonus episodes, exclusive stuff, early episodes, all that good stuff, you can do that at patreon.com/everyalbumever. But do not feel obligated, although it would be nice. But don't feel obligated, but it would be nice. But don't, I'm sorry.
Unlike this music, which is not nice.
Not nice. Not nice. So we're talking about Emperor. I was excited to do this. Much like Celtic Frost, where I had no idea. I really wanted to hear them. Never got around to it. And this is the perfect excuse.
Same. I never listened to them before. So,
well, black metal is one of those genres where I'm so fascinated by conceptually and historically. But every time I can't find the right mood.
Hard.
It's a hard genre. It's
fucking hard.
It's abrasive. It's abrasive, Alex. It's very abrasive. And Emperor, pretty beloved. They helped pioneer the genre pretty much.
Yeah, as well as some other genres like symphonic.
Symphonic black metal. Yep. Okay. I like Emperor.
I'm on the fence.
On the fence.
It's really bizarre. Like,
why is it bizarre?
Oh, that I like Celtic Frost.
Yeah.
But then this, I'm like, oh man.
Interesting.
I'm really I just feel confused after listening to this.
Because I like this and I don't like Celtic Frost at all. And it's it's a interesting thing because they sound exactly like what I thought they would sound like, except it works for me. And I usually don't care for black metal. I like elements of black metal more than the genre itself. I like the shrieks and I like the mood and I like the coldness and the really ugliness of everything. But something about it always felt really, very messy and too garagey for me. Usually
there's production issues where I think there's probably even black metal fans who are like, oh, if it doesn't sound like trash, it's not. Some
of the pioneers of the genre feel that way. And Emperor was sort of part of that second wave of black metal and Norwegian black metal. If you've ever heard of Norwegian black metal, you know exactly what comes with that. Documentaries, movies made about it, books. It's fucking gnarly. We're going to talk about probably all of it because oddly enough, most of those second wave of black metal bands are still around. Strangely.
It's really weird. There's still a few movies I want to check out. Seen the big black metal documentary. Yeah.
What's it called again?
Was that Until the Light Takes Us?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I remember I saw that as well. Really liked it. Hated who made it. Because it felt like an amateur kind of production. But I liked everything that was in it. And it was a heavily featured Fonries from Dark Throne, who's the most likable dude in all of
black metal,
and most of metal, I think, because he's he's a really genuine dude. He's just a regular guy. But also, did you ever hear about his foray into politics?
No,
it's the best. I'm gonna pull up. Yeah, look it up. Before you say anything, I have to explain. it was for some kind of city council position. And it was like someone asked him if he wanted to do it. He would be like, on a list, basically. Like if this person drops out, then you'll be on the thing. And he's like, yeah, whatever, sure, I guess. I mean, I figured I'd be like a millionth in line. And then everyone dropped out and suddenly he was up for election. So his campaign posters were a photo of him, with the full long hair and beard, holding his cat with the words on the poster that said, "Please don't vote for me." And he got elected.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Cause he's the best.
Yeah, there's like a whole article about it.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
Loudwire. I'll read.
If you just look at go to images.
Okay.
I'll post an image on the video. It's wonderful. So he's heavily featured in that doc, but 2 years ago, 2018, they made a feature movie.
Yes. I still need to watch that.
Same. Macaulay Culkin's little brother plays, Euronymous from Mayhem.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the movie is basically mostly around Mayhem. If you know black metal, you know Mayhem.
That's a great poster.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So that movie was made off of a book that was released in like 95, which documented the entire Norwegian black metal scene. And the thing is like
Lords of Chaos.
Yeah. And that book is like the main reference for all the stories because the authors really did their homework. And then I was reading like criticism of the book and it's like completely unfounded criticism. I think it's like a legit researched book. And then a Mr. Varg Vierkenes or whatever Burzum.
Fuck that dude.
So anybody who doesn't know Burzum, I think it's Burzum. It's the pioneering black metal band. It's one dude. His name is Varg. I'm going to look it up because I can't pronounce Norwegian. Our Norwegian friends are going to yell at us. Vierkenes. He's a notorious dude. He's a murderer.
Notorious neo-Nazi.
I think he's everything. He's everything bad. He's super, super racist. He's a murderer. He's convicted murderer.
Opposite of Fritz or
Funries.
Yeah.
Also, he's a big old nerd. The worst thing of all.
Yeah.
He's a giant Tolkien nerd. No, obviously that's not the worst thing of all, unless you're, one of those people who hates Tolkien. But he was like, he's always the first person you hear of criticizing the documentation of the scene. Because like you weren't there, you don't know what it was like. You don't know what the real true black metal was. And so what happened was, I out of morbid curiosity, I decided to read his review of the book, Lords of Chaos.
Yeah.
I will tell you all, it is wonderful. It is, first of all, it's a manifesto. It's not a review.
Well, does he write anything that's not a manifesto?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's super lengthy. Okay. For one, it's very long. And most of the things that he's criticizing, like for not, he's calling them liars and it's just completely inaccurate and poorly researched. The things that he's criticizing are things like in the book, they said that we were inspired by Venom. We were never inspired by Venom. Only Euronymous liked Venom. And even he wouldn't talk about it to us. We hated Venom. It's like, that's what you're criticizing?
Yeah, that's very insignificant.
It's hilarious. And then every other paragraph, he would just go on this tangent. Like he would start off with a point and then somehow halfway through it would just turn to this giant anti-Semitic rant and it would just go on like, wait, hold on. What do the Jews have to do with anything here? Like, it's just, he's a madman, obviously. And, that's basically what, when it came to researching, even Emperor, he had like things where he was like, yeah, they started out, they were part of us and then they changed their name and even they're posers too. He didn't say posers, but he's implying, the posers. I don't think so.
Imagine being like 40, 50 years old, murderer, and you're going around calling people posers.
But he's an extreme dude. He's a heavily not psychotic, but he's more of like a lunatic. he's a lunatic, and nobody had, dude. Because here's the thing, Burzum released an album this year. Officially, Burzum's last album. He said this is the last album. We're done. I mean, it's just one guy. However, I want to talk about him. I want to talk because there's so many crazy things about this dude. It just sounds like a real bitch because those albums are long and there's a lot of them and they're really ambient. And I've heard.
Also, I don't want to give him money.
No. They're all streaming.
Whoa.
You're gonna avoid listening to. I listen to his albums. Dude, get over it, dude. No, like
fuck that dude.
He's not getting much money.
Not a penny.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna suggest we cover Birds now just because you said that. So this dude. Yeah. So I think him and Emperor are the only ones of like that scene I think that have completely stopped.
Well, I think the Emperor will play like sporadic shows here and there.
They still perform, but they even said that they're not going to record.
They're done recording.
Done recording. I want to talk about Varg more because he made a fucking RPG game. There's so many things to talk about. It's fucking insane. I'm talking about it. He made a fucking like a full-on D&D. You know
it was like crazy, like anti-Semitic D&D.
It was insane. First of all, like I read a thing on it, and it's like the most convoluted. Like you couldn't even figure out how the rules work because there's just every little. It's like the most insanely badly indexed set of rules. The whole book full of rules of this fucking this RPG, and then in the lore is just the most transparent one-to-one comparisons of anti-Semitism and anti-Christian and anti-everything. Pretty much, obviously promoting Scandinavia, whatever. It's like the most Eurocentric crazy shit, and it's like with these fantasy names over it, but it's like. It's clearly just a Christian you're talking about. What the hell are you talking? Like what?
Yeah, it's not even remotely clever.
No. And he's not like. It's also obvious he's not that good at speaking English because it's all broken too. Like it's just a fucking. It's a wonderful, hilarious, sadly not a joke kind of thing that exists in the world. But Emperor, they are. Definitely associated with the craziness of Norwegian black metal.
Yes. Isan,
I think it's Isan.
He was part of all the church burning that happened.
It was more, actually, no, it was Samat.
Sorry. Yeah. Samoth was part of all the church burning that happened in 92 that, Lords of Chaos and all that. Documents.
There's a lot of interesting things.
And then, it's not a real Norwegian death metal or black metal band unless somebody murdered someone.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
Hold on. Tease that. No, because
it happened before the first.
This is why it's important. This whole history is fucking fascinating. I did like a 2-day long deep dive on all this stuff because I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
And it's a double morbid curiosity for me because so the Norwegian church burnings were like a big thing. It's what created all the buzz around black metal. It's what made the scene a scene. And it all stemmed from the suicide of Dead from Mayhem. Dead was Mayhem's most famous singer, more or less. He's the guy who pretty much invented corpse paint. He was the first one to start wearing corpse paint. He was heavily psychotic. Well, not psychotic. He was heavily deranged and he had problems.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know anything about Dead?
That's where... And then... Because it's been so long, but there's like all these stories about what really happened with like, did they like, take pieces of his body?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I did a lot of
research. There's a lot of myth.
There's some myth. Yeah. So Dead, he was a weird guy. He would starve himself. Because I think he believed ulcers made his voice sound better, like things like that.
Yeah.
He would bury his clothes for days at a time, and then when he was ready to perform, he'd put them on because he wanted to be surrounded by the essence of death. He was completely dissociated. He had I think they would actually diagnose him these days with dissociative disorder because he didn't feel like he was alive. He always like imagined that his veins like were frozen over. Like he imagined himself as always being dead. He was like really psychotic.
Yeah.
A lot of self-mutilation on stage and off to the point where members of the band would like, they'd be at a party and he'd just be like fucking cutting himself and they'd have to handcuff him and like leave him somewhere like, and then eventually if it'd get too bad, they just drive him to like the fucking hospital or whatever and just like leave him there. Like, okay, dude, like we can't.
Damn.
He was like destructive. And eventually he finally killed himself. And it's so brutal too. Like he slit his wrists and his throat, wrote a suicide note, and then shot himself in the forehead with a shotgun.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And the suicide note is pretty much, confirming all the things, like saying things like, I was never truly alive kind of stuff. And Euronymous from Mayhem, this fucking psychopath, he discovers the body, and the first thing he does was he leaves to go buy a camera, and then comes back and then takes photos of it, rearranges stuff, takes photos of it. And he called, I think it's Necro Butcher from Mayhem. I'm going to look it up just to be double check. The bass player, essentially. And Mayhem, where the hell? There it is. The bass player, who I guess was either more normal, Necro Butcher, more normal or friends with Dead. Because when he said, oh yeah, Dead did something really cool, he killed himself. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he's like, yeah, no, I got these photos and everything. And he's like, but don't call me unless you destroy those photos. Like, I don't want to. And then eventually, Necro Butcher left the band because of the whole situation. He was like just so disgusted with how Euronymous responded to it, like using it as publicity, which he did. He definitely did. And that suicide spawned everything. From that suicide came the church burnings.
Yeah.
It came everything. It came all the chaos. It came the eventual murder of Euronymous by Varg. And here's the part of my fascination with all this, because I'm fucking psycho too. That the main summer that all those church burnings took place, when I was born.
Summer 92.
Summer 92. That is when I was born. And also
some people in Sublime would say, oh, did they in Sublime, did they say summer 1992? Where were you?
I don't remember.
Or 94.
Do you remember actual Sublime quotes?
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit. I try to block that episode out of my memory. But the last thing about that parallel I'll make is the band Immortal. They released their first album on the day I was born.
Damn.
So I'm like constantly listening to that album. I don't even really like it, but it's just this weird kind of
just feel tied to it.
Yeah, it's this fascination. So
you blew your load on the Mayhem episode too, right?
They're going strong. They released an album like last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that's the church burnings. Like the suicide of Dead kind of caused all these things to happen, and caused everyone to it caused Euronymous for sure to jump on it for publicity and kind of market black metal as this super evil, scary thing, which was, in retrospect, they're just a bunch of fucking kids who are, first of all, super dumb.
Yeah, they're just nerds.
It was all the church burnings were complete dick measuring contests. Everyone was just trying to outdo one another, and behind most of them was Var. He did most of them.
Yeah,
he was fucking crazy.
That's
from
why
the start.
he did the most time.
He did do the most
outside of the murder. But,
he did.
But also in Norway, there's only so much time you can get.
Yeah,
I think it's like 22 years.
21 or 21 is the maximum.
Yeah,
and I was reading an interview with a guy we're going to talk about right now, and it was like they asked him about why prison is so like lax in Norway or whatever, and he said like I think they think of it as an actual rehabilitation.
Yeah, they do,
and it's like that's exactly how it should be, and why America sucks. But also, you can, like everything, you can find an argument against it, and there's plenty of arguments against Varg and a Mr. Faust that I think we should talk about right now.
Yes. So this story is like suspect from the beginning that this also happened in 92.
This was 92. Yeah.
He decided to go on a walk with a random man he just met.
That's not quite what I read. It is.
What'd you read?
So Faust, I
have more details, but
what? Okay. Faust, his real name, because I can't fucking pronounce Bard. Let's just say Bard Ethan, whatever. It's in Norwegian. They have a lot of the circles above letters and stuff.
And letters that don't belong next to each other. Like
H is where you wouldn't expect them. So Faust, the stories that I read repeatedly, and the one that seems the most consistent with like all objective accounts of the thing, was he was out and a guy came up to him, like a stranger came up to him, like I think he was like super drunk. A drunk dude approached him, propositioned him, said, "Hey, I like what you're offering. Like I like what I'm seeing, dude. I'd like to get to know you better."
Yeah.
Faust says, "You got it. Hell yeah, let's take a walk."
And then sexual advances were made. And
I didn't know that. I didn't read that.
Yeah, that's what it's what do they call it? It's like a gay panic or something when a straight person, like a gay person, comes onto a straight person and they have like a panic and they, beat or murder. There's like a name for it. I can't think.
I don't know. I know what you're talking about. I didn't read that. I read that as well, but more things that I read were not that. It seemed a lot more kind of psycho than that. It didn't seem like an outburst.
Like the summary okay. I read, this made it seem. So there may be more details. I'm not saying this is the most factual thing. My basic understanding is the guy made sexual advances to him. He panicked and used it as an excuse to kill him, which is literally overkill. Like, you don't have to kill someone because they made sexual advances towards you. And ended up with him doing time in prison. So
the more detailed thing because I was trying to find as much as I possibly could.
Sorry.
About the story, because I didn't hear about this one. Like I didn't recall this one. So it seemed like, because even with interviews with Faust that I read afterward, he didn't seem like he panicked at all. It was like the guy made the offer and then he just decided then that he was going to kill him. And
okay.
So he's like, okay. And they took a walk and then he stabbed him 37 times and kicked him in the head.
Yeah. Absurd amount.
And then kicked him in the head like 12 times afterward. Okay. Count to 37 and imagine those as stabs. It's insane. It is the most insane number. It's like doing anything 37 times is super crazy, but that's a really sick outburst. Like that was like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around like how the fuck you have to be a real fucking dead human being to be able to do this. Like, holy God, man.
And they like distanced themselves from him, but then they like played a fucking show with him in 2014.
Rehabilitation. I don't fucking know. So this is another thing, another crazy ripple about the murder is that, so he does that and then he gets away with it. Like he killed the dude. And then the next day he went to go burn a church with Varg and Euronymous. The next day, August 21st. I'm going to go ahead and guess that's the date. I think that's the date. And then he told them about it like then, and by all accounts, including his own, he was like, he felt nothing about it. There was no remorse. He was like, kind of like, yeah, that's just a thing that happened. It's Saturday, right? And he didn't get locked up for it until a year later when Varg was sentenced. He just confessed. As soon as Varg was caught with the murder and the arsons, he's like, okay, I did it. Like he got away with it. It's just the craziest fucking thing.
Damn. Yeah, this has got to be like the most we've like set up.
A band, right? The band isn't that interesting, but the history sure is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's really like not too much like details about the band other than there's not really like, this like crazy stories about their albums. This is more the genre. Yeah,
it's the genre, and they were associated. And when all this stuff happened, like they weren't really known yet. They were under they were kind of like a different band before Emperor. And the first album I think is very interesting for a lot of reasons, and I can't wait to get to it. But we did a lot of setups. So actual formation, history, pre-murder, and convictions and church burnings.
Well, I think that is like the origin of Emperor. But outside of that, they released a demo called Wrath of the Tyrant, which garnered them some attention and led to them being able to record in the Nightside Eclipse.
There was one EP as well, right? Self-titled?
Yes.
That was like, I think it was 93. Did you listen to those?
No, I didn't.
I gave it once over. It's early black metal. It was
really, even though there's only 4 albums, this was fucking exhausting.
Really? I get it, but I enjoyed the band. Honestly, I really enjoyed the band.
No, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're real solid.
So, I mean, might as well jump in. So they had 4 albums total, like you said, not including the demo and the EP. First album was released in 1994. Last one was 2001. So if you're ready, might as well jump into it.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. This is 1994's In the Nightside Eclipse.
This worried me.
Did it?
Because I thought we were in for lo-fi.
Oh, right. Yeah, me too.
Production.
Yeah.
But thankfully, this is a intro.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is misleading. The year is misleading. Because if you look at 94, that's also the year Mayhem's first album came out.
And that sounds awful.
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
Sounds awful. Compared to this, but that was recorded much, much earlier than this one.
Here we go.
The production on this is leaps and bounds better than their peers.
It is.
This is a solid riff, too.
Probably like one of the best black metal tracks ever.
This one took a second for me to warm up to, but as soon as I kind of like realized what I was in for, I was like, this is a fucking strong black metal song. This is really goddamn good.
I would definitely recommend this for people who are curious about black metal.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, because the other stuff is like...
It's different. It's not quite. This is Norwegian black metal.
This is black metal. The production is awesome. It is not a chore to listen to. And
Indeed.
that's why it's my best personal favorite.
Best personal favorite. Easy best personal favorite. Dude.
It wasn't easy for me because the band gets so crazy later on. And
Yeah.
Like, they've done a lot, and I didn't know exactly where to land, but I was like, fuck it, this is where my heart is.
Yeah.
Like, this is the album I will for sure come back
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and listen to. It's great. It's got the Lord of the Rings inspired artwork on the album cover.
Is that what that is?
It is.
Oh, yeah. Mordor. You can tell in the,
It's
in the
so
top
fun.
right.
It's so funny seeing artwork before the movies because it kind of looks like generic fantasy stuff. Because now all the Lord of the Rings shit is inspired by like what Peter Jackson. Yeah. So
I actually do like this cover because of how heavy it is on the white and the blue. Like it doesn't look, because when I think fantasy, I think of like way too many colors.
Yes.
Like on the image at once. But the problem I have with back to the music. Problem I have with that opener, I think like it's such a long opener. I think it's compared to some of the other songs on this album alone, like they could have chose a better opener. I still like the song a lot, but like even
it is the longest song on the album. So
yeah, it's pretty beefy. I think, dude, man, the Burning Shadows of Silence. That from like the opening seconds, I was like, oh, I'm a fan. I fucking love this band.
That's a little more melodic. You get some of it's not actual choir vocals. It's probably this like keyboard.
A lot of synths.
Yes.
That's a big element of this band.
There's some slower parts there, which makes it more interesting. That lets you know, hey, this isn't going to be like a marathon of like blast beats.
Yeah.
So yeah, Burning Shadows of Silence is like cool, like kind of lets you know there's going to be some variety.
Yeah, and they're just interesting riffs and interesting progressions. Like it's super ugly, but it also has like a staple of black metal, which is like these I don't know, heavy on the chords, heavy on the double picking, and this style of blasting, it's not really blasting. It's more like a 1-2 beat, but it's just a really, really fast 1-2 beat.
Yeah.
Whereas death metal would do the blasting, the brrr. This is like, I don't know why in my brain it registers this as faster than blasting.
There's like 2 ways to do the blast beats. I always called it like the cheater way, but I guess it's like the black metal way where you're like alternating.
Yeah, alternating. 1-2. That's a 1-2.
And then the
1-2.
The death metal one is this
same time.
Yeah, same time.
The alternating one is like, imagine a punk beat, but sped up.
Yes.
Like a million. Traditional blasting is like grindcore. Everything at the same time as fast as you can. Either way, I've heard, drum purists call both of them bullshit and kind of thing. But like, okay, then whatever. I can't do it. Let
me cue up one of my favorite riffs.
Do it.
On Cosmic Keys.
Yeah.
To My Creation. That was also, okay, I got it queued up.
Yeah.
That was also like, oh shit, it's not just all blasting. There's some nice riffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the drums on this song.
I feel like I write down the wrong timestamps for some reason, but still cool.
It's a solid riff.
There was like,
I really like this whole transition here. Goddamn.
maybe it was on the next song. They have like a riff that's like kind of Middle Eastern sounding.
I got a lot of those vibes in later albums, like a lot.
Oh yeah, it happens more often later on, but there's a touch of it in here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the track that that's like full blown, well, not full blown symphonic because they would do that later.
Yeah.
But the one that is closest on here is towards the Pantheon.
Oh, right. Oh, dude, I fucking love that song.
Yeah, that song, I totally get why bands like Cradle of Filth and Demo Burger heard it and were like, that's our jam.
What I love about that song, it's like that. There's so many riffs in each song. I don't know what to call it, but like, there's this hook in there that it's like it's almost pop. It's almost poppy, and then at the end of the riff, it just fucking takes this ugly ass left turn. It's just fucking really satisfying in a strange way, but it's such a characteristic thing of this kind of metal where it's just nothing pretty is allowed.
Yes.
And the fact that it's like, I don't know, it's almost like confusing to the brain. Like it's not where they would turn into later on, and a lot of death metal bands do, where it's just like, let's just make the angriest, evilest, heaviest riff we can. It's not that. The thing with this early black metal is like, it's almost a punk riff, but it's just kind of more schizophrenic than that. It's just slightly off, and it just feels strange. And that's a really interesting kind of layer to this earlier black metal that I like so much more than anything that will come later.
Yeah.
That song does it all really well.
And then I Am the Black Wizards is an epic.
Oh, it's fucking rules, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking rules.
One of my favorite songs is actually towards the end there,
Satana? Yeah. That's the closer. Yeah.
It's probably like the most technical,
most melodic. That I felt like is one of the biggest signs of where they were going to go. Like that one's the most symphonic. I think so. A thing I have trouble with a lot of extreme metal albums is like distinguishing what is good pacing for this kind of music. Cause like traditionally, like, what a good closer is, just like inherently, what a good closer is. You feel this weird culmination. You feel satisfied at the end of it. You want to hear it again.
But everything's cranked up to 11.
But when with extreme metal albums, like oftentimes even the closer just sounds like another one of the songs, and they will do this later on in albums. That's a fucking good closer for this kind of album. Like it's different enough.
It's you're still interested, you're still engaged, and really ended up enjoying this way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I was expecting to think, the same way I do about, Mayhem and Immortal and stuff, like where it's fine, but it's hard to find the right mood for it. And it's really not like, I can't put it on in company. It's like, even, it's just, it takes a lot. But this one I was like, this is fucking great.
They're probably like, if you did a big 4 black metal, they're probably up there, but I also feel like they get like the least recognition.
Emperor?
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, they do to an extent, but like, you don't, like, I feel like like if you're into kind of like thrash metal or things like Metallica and all that, like odds are you've heard of Mayhem or Immortal.
Yeah.
Like you know of them, but like Emperor, you're just like...
Emperor is one of those bands where I would see people with shirts. I couldn't even read the shirt and I didn't care because I always figured it was like, okay, it's just gonna be a bunch of blasting. I don't care. For black metal, I feel like the big 3 is Dark Throne, Birdsome, and Mayhem. Like that's like the big 3, the ones people talk about and attribute as like kind of pioneering. Emperor, like this album, like I get the historical significance of Mayhem's first album. It's literally an album where the murderer is on the same album as the guy who he killed.
Yeah,
it's like that's big, but also it came out in the same year as this. This is still influential as shit.
Yeah,
but objectively, like in terms of just right, I mean, I'm probably gonna get shout out for this. I like this album more. I don't know what to tell you, man. I think it's a better album in terms of writing and production and presentation. I think it's just as important, but. And it's also like, I remember it wasn't maybe a couple of years ago, friend of ours, he was getting into more metal and he was really fascinated with black metal, as most people I think are when you hear about the history. And he's like, well, where do I start? Like, what is it like? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Here's a fucking song from Mayhem. And he's like, I don't like it. And it's like, I get it. I get hating it. It's fucking abrasive. It's really gross. But if you're at all curious, this is the one. You gotta start.
I agree. This is the best place to start for black metal. And then I'm sure some purists are gonna fucking lose it, but I feel like people didn't realize like how to harness the power of it until like Death Heaven.
I almost wore my Death Heaven shirt today. I was like, I'm gonna piss some people off.
Damn.
But I'll fucking change right now. Don't you fucking tempt me.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like those dudes are musicians. They love music. I think like them and Zeal, and to like a lesser extent, like Lingua, have like figured out this way to balance these extreme it's genres.
It's not really like, you can't say that an artist like Lingua is not extreme metal, but also you could say that she's not, like, because I mean, what's not extreme about the fucking giant wall of fuzz and her? How is that not extreme metal? But also those gorgeous choral vocal overdubs and pianos, like that's just the next step of things. Like it's a thing to be embraced.
I agree. The
same with Death Heaven. I almost got, not in a fight, but almost, a girl was singing a while back who had great taste in music, wonderful taste in music. I had a feeling in my heart. I was like, I bet she doesn't like Death Heaven. And I just casually brought up Death Heaven. She's like, ugh. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, they have good albums. It's just their performances feel too clean for me. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, dude. I don't know what the fuck that means. They sound great. They sound great, dude. They're whatever.
That's weird. But purists, they think like Death Heaven are like hipsters trying to cash in on this brutal music. I fucking disagree.
Yeah.
If you've read interviews with them, they are fucking fans and talented musicians. And fuck all this purist shit.
I love how like any kind of clout we got from covering a band like Emperor. We're like, by the way, this other band we like way more. This other band called the one that you guys hate. We like them a lot.
Yeah.
Still, I get it.
This is a great album.
Hearing this album, I fucking get it, and it's like a weird thing that I wasn't expecting, because like, man, I really didn't think I liked black metal. I really did. I thought I was like, it's just a thing that I'm never gonna really care for, but. Yeah, and now I want to hear more bands because of this.
Because I guess another one, but I don't know. I don't like think of black metal when I listen to Venom.
No. And that's the thing with Mr. fucking Varg, the wonderful racist.
That's why he hates him.
It's like, he's not. I mean, it's so weird that he so vehemently discredits Venom when other people cite them blatantly.
There's always like an evolution to things.
Yeah. And the thing is, honestly, Venom doesn't sound like they're not black metal. They just had the song called black metal. That's
which fucking rips, but
it's a great song. Yeah. And also they helped pioneer like super, super low tunings. Mm-hmm. Venom's a cool band, but not black metal. But whatever. Influences come where they come. On to the next. So you know how we feel. Let's move on. This is 1997's Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk. Fuck these titles, dude. Oh my god,
dude. The song titles
on this album specifically.
This sounds like a Death Heaven song.
It's pretty. It's pretty. I like this intro a lot. Coming off of the last album, this is quite a departure.
This is, yes. This is a different album.
Almost a different band.
Yeah.
At least stylistically.
Also, while we're waiting for it to kick in, Stephen O'Malley of Sun or Sunno, whatever people want to call him, did the sleeve design.
Interesting. For this album.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to see. It's really dark. If you're watching the video, you probably have to Google it to get a better view of it, but it's actually very cool if you look closely.
The longest intro.
It's a little long.
This episode.
It's a good ass fucking song when it kicks in, though.
Yeah. It's a good like evil riff right now.
It's a total evil riff. Yeah. Also, this is like cue take us seriously time. Like, we're evil guys, all right? Remember, we're evil. Check out this intro.
It stops being evil pretty, at least to me.
I know yeah, I know. yeah, I'm on board.
And this is a beloved album.
I don't disagree, man. This is a long fucking intro.
I know, we're 2 minutes in.
Oh my god.
Should I just like skip?
Scrub it. Holy shit. You would have been waiting.
I'm just going to play the next track.
Next track. Thank Christ. Man, this is not for everyone.
There's a specific part I want to get to. I don't know if we will. If we have to cut it, whatever. I'll just bring it up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is black metal. This is black metal as fuck. Like, even that though, like, it's already we're at the death metal-esque blasting though.
Yeah.
That fuck.
And we're full symphonic.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. It's weird and kind of fucking silly, but
it is. There's the silly aspect to symphonic black metal.
Oh, indeed. So that's one thing we actually didn't
talk about too much in the last album is the heavy use of synths. Like, the synths are prominent in the last album. They're fucking there.
They're more like things to highlight songs though.
Yeah, they're textures. They're not really. They're not a focal point of any kind. They're just. But you notice, like there's no hiding them in the mix. It's not like an ambient kind of thing. Like they're there. But here
they're the focus. So like, is it that song where there's like MIDI horns? They're trash,
dude. Some of the MIDI stuff
sound fucking awful.
There's a lot of instances where the MIDI stuff is distracting, man. Like they're trying to go hard with the symphonic thing. They're not. I mean, they're going to go harder later, but clearly, like, I don't know if it's like do they just not have access to?
Probably not. This was, and then there was some time between this one and the other one, so Samuth could serve his prison time.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So we mentioned how Faust, the murdering piece of shit, he's fucking gone. He played drums on the first album. He was locked up before it was released. He recorded it before he was locked up.
Yeah.
And it was released 94. Also, Samuth, fuck him, I don't speak the language, whatever. Guitar player,
yes.
Consistent guitar player.
Yes.
He also partook in the church burnings, got convicted, went to prison. So after the release of the first album,
half the band is in jail.
Isan, the singer, main guitar player, he was the only guy not in prison in the band. So
what a mensch that he waited for them. Well, not them.
But like, I think, it seemed like people generally really like Samuth, whatever. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But he's been with the band, beginning to end. But now they got a new drummer whose name sounds like a type of weapon. What's his name? Trim Torsen. He's going to be like the main drummer, right, to the end.
Yes.
He's fucking good.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, they're excellent musicians. So this album, because I love the first one so much, and because like the brutal parts on here are brutal and they slap and they're awesome, but like I almost feel like I need to like reevaluate my relationship with symphonic metal.
How so?
Because I want to like it.
Okay.
I want to like it. I just don't know. Because like he said, sometimes it feels silly to me. Like in high school, I would have fucked with this album hard.
Really?
Fun note about me. I once chose to go to a Cradle of Filth show over Melving's show.
That, you make me sick. You make me sick. How dare you?
So, to be fair, I've seen the Melvins a million times. Yeah. I've only seen Cradle of Filth, the one.
The one. You learned.
Yes.
I don't like symphonic black metal. I've learned that from this episode.
I probably, I'm not going to like actively seek it out, but I can see why people like this.
I like this album. I think
this is like a beloved album.
Yeah, no, I get this album for sure. It's a good album. It has moments that make me fucking laugh though. But before we get into the stuff I don't like, I was fucking what's the song? I can't even read because my eyes are going bad. Ensorcelled by Chaos. I like that song a lot. Dude, a lot of synths on there.
The guitar effects on that are really wild too.
Dude, like that's where it kind of started hitting me. Like this is orchestral almost to the point of parody. There's so many synths on. There's so many things. However, the fucking drums. I got a timestamp. The hi-hats at 455. 455
on Chaos.
I can never not be floored by this.
No, sorry. It exploded on me. I really want to go back to using my phone because this feels
easier.
Yeah. 455 you said. I'm getting there. One day. Okay, it's a little before that because I can't.
Gotcha.
But here we go.
Okay. That hi-hat. It's its own separate rhythm.
Yeah, it's the polyrhythms are insane.
And like, man, I just craved more things like that. Like that came out, I was like, holy shit, that's a fucking wacky ass.
That's one of the cooler songs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I love that song. Dude, man, there's a lot of good stuff on here. It's definitely like a step forward. I feel like it's like a step up in basically every aspect. For objectively, it's a step up in every aspect. Like the performances are way better, the production's a lot better. They're clearly writing more melodic stuff. They're putting way more effort into being their own thing as opposed to just playing a black metal thing. But as a fucking whole cohesive thing, it just didn't resonate with me as much.
How did you feel about Thus Spec, the Night Spirit? I believe it's
refresh my memory.
Track 3.
Oh.
Let me throw on a little bit of that. I'm gonna fast forward. God, I'm so sorry. It's like the littlest thing will click. Like I barely.
The funniest thing about that is that this is the band where if you put on at any point the wrong point, it's gonna be at 10. It's gonna be super fast and super loud.
Yes. The littlest thing on my mouse pad will fuck my shit up. So here we go.
Okay.
I feel like that's kind of like a cool balance between symphonic stuff
and just extreme.
Yeah. Also,
that's very cool. Fuck, it's so Transylvanian sounding.
It's like it's a little silly, but it's not overly so at this point.
Yeah, when you play some Castlevania or some Bloodborne, throw on some Emperor.
I dig it. I dig a lot of stuff. The only thing I don't care for much is Acclamation of Bonds, which I think is generally pretty weak, just overall. And dude, with Strength I Burn. Fuck, dude. It's so funny, man. The vocals are so medieval times. Oh my God, dude.
That's just a small taste of what's to come.
I know. Like, I think that with that song, I think it gets really strong toward the end. But it takes so long to get there. And there's just so much silliness along the way.
Yeah.
And like, so they're doing sung vocals now periodically. And here,
there's some clean.
It's like a dash.
Yeah.
It's a dash of it. It's very minimal. I think it sounds really fucking good on, I'm not even going to be able to read this song title. Yeah. Entrance Imperium. I think that's how you say it. The second track.
Okay.
The sung vocals on there, I think sound really good. It's like toward the end of the song. And overall, like them being more melodic here is like it's a nice mix. It's like you were saying with that one song. It's just it mixes well. It's still extreme. It's still black metal. It still feels very black metal, but there's just more emphasis on the writing, more interesting progressions. Not so much. There's none of that, or there's significantly less of that disturbing strangeness that I was talking about. That's characterized by a lot of early black metal, where you think it's a punk riff, but it's just twisted. There's nothing like that. We're inching more toward traditionally evil sounding stuff.
Yeah. Something that's more symphonic than metal is the closer.
Oh, right.
Opus Satana.
Oh no, that's a bonus track.
Oh, okay. So what's
the closing track is The Wanderer, which is the short instrumental.
Yeah, even the Wanderer's an interesting because it's short. It's maybe their and I use this lightly, their lightest song.
Kinda. Yeah. I think it's fine. I think it's solid. It's a solid instrumental, but it's like again, it's more like inching toward that, what we know as edgy metal, edgy dramatic kind of stuff. Not so much scary or disturbing or strange. The Opus Satana, it's a orchestral version of Satana from the first album.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And by orchestral, I do mean synths.
Yes.
It is all synths.
Yes, it's fucking borderline goofy.
It is indeed goofy.
I did not know that was a bonus track.
Yeah, there's along with the first album, the last two tracks there are covers.
They're covered. Yeah, I knew about those.
Yeah, there was a Bathory and Merciful Fate.
Yeah,
which is funny to hear black metal and all of a sudden King Diamond vocals. What the fuck's happening here? But those are the only, like, the silliness here was so little that I was like, okay, it's still a good album. I can overlook any of the stuff that I'm laughing at. The sung vocals still sound pretty solid for the most part. But you can hear where they're going for sure. And And that brings us, I guess, to the next one.
Yes, sir.
This is, all right, 1999's 9 Equilibrium.
Well, this is a cool song that I feel like it isn't indicative of the album.
Interesting. I don't disagree, but I don't entirely agree. Because this, from the get-go, already has a lot of death metal for me. And this album has a lot of death metal. First thing I noted about this, he is real clear. You can hear his vocals right there.
Yeah.
That is not a very early black metal thing.
This is,
That's a cool riff.
That is a cool riff. You kind of, with like older bands that kind of help like pave the way for it, I think those vocals you kind of see like now they're drawing a little bit more from the Cradle of Filth and those bands.
Yeah, that's like late era Chuck Schuldiner.
Yeah.
And I don't care for it. Not a fan. Like I like shriek, I like the full on like that. Yeah. I don't like the like where it's really pointed and really clear. Because it at that point it doesn't feel like an ambient texture. Mm-hmm. So that's why sorry to bring up Death Heaven again, but the way they produce the vocals on the last album and Sunbather, brilliant, because it's so in the mix, it's so ambient, it's so around you. Like his shrieks are like all over. They're like, it's not, you don't really hear him exactly. You just know he's there. Mm-hmm. Where if you listen to Death Heaven's third album, was it New Bermuda? It's like it's fucking panned right in the middle. You hear him, like, it's just fucking abrasive. Like someone screeching at you.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like here. It's just too pointed. I don't like it at all.
Before we go any further, this is my worst, least favorite. I don't think they have a bad album.
Yeah.
But this is kind of when the started getting, what do you call it? The death metal syndrome.
Yeah. This is a death metal album, I feel like. That's probably blasphemy. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it fucking registers as death metal to me. There's so much blasting and double pedaling on here. It's like there's not even a real beat.
Yeah, this is the like least memorable out of the four for me. So that's the only reason I gave it to it. But I think like the playing across the album is great. I think there's some cool songs on here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's just what we do here. So
I agree that it's the least memorable, but that's not a bad thing for me in this case.
Yeah.
Because I think this album is top heavy or front loaded, whatever. Mm-hmm. I actually rather like the first half a lot. Like, I mean, obviously the opening track, talking about that.
It's real interesting because I don't know where you're going to go. And because it's the second track, the Decrystallizing Reason.
Yeah.
Those little twinkle sounds.
Dude, I like that song a lot.
There are times in there that reminded me of Strapping Young Lad.
Oh, right. Dude, actually put on the beginning because, dude, so Egyptian.
Let's do it.
The synths they're fucking like the star of the show now.
And it sounds of course, synths got better with time, so.
Yeah, you can hear like the MIDI horns and stuff. It's in the vein of a Celtic Frost, but I think it's implemented a lot more let's just say with some finesse.
Elegy of
Icarus.
Icarus.
Icarus. I think it's pronounced Icarus. It's spelled a little different. It's spelled or Norwegian like.
Those opening dude are over the top dramatic.
Dude,
it's a bit much for me.
It is.
But the song,
it's fucking great.
It ended up winning me over eventually.
Dude, exactly.
Yeah.
We're right here with you, buddy. I'm right here.
Same page on this song.
Same exact experience. Because I noted it. I was like, I fucking hate this. Those vocals are so theatrical. It's so stupid. And so bad.
And then they just kept... I'm not a fan of those the very like prog rock vocals, or not operatic,
no,
more theatrical. And then, man, it gets wild.
It fucking kicks ass, dude.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, even with those sections, because it bookends the song. It fucking opens with that fucking belting, and then it closes with it. But even those sections, I think, are well written. Like those are good ass progressions. Like fuck, it's like I wish someone else was singing it for sure. Put it on. You got to like just to give it. It's so wacky. It's so fun.
If you're like a fan of these vocals, like it's more your jam. But
also, by the way, the worst MIDI strings I've ever heard.
This is the Castlevania Symphony of the Night soundtrack.
God, this is so funny.
Fucking hate it.
Oh man, I hate his voice, but I fucking like.
But I promise that song gets cool.
It's actually very cool, man. I was like surprised. Like I'm sorry, I like it. I can't help it. So yeah, the sense, the spookiness, the symphonic stuff. This is where they start to wear on me. Like man, they're a little overbearing, man. They're really. I mean, you heard in that intro, like holy god, man. And it's also an interesting thing that. These guys are really taking themselves real seriously, like with this evil shit and this fucking spooky synthy sound. Like, you got to know it's pretty campy, right? Like, you got to know it's how do you,
especially, like, we're just gonna keep talking about Death Heaven. Like, I think it's funny how like purists are like, that's not metal, but like this is metal. This is okay. Or like a Children of Bodom with like the very synth heavy, and it's fine. I don't care about it, but objectively, it's pretty fucking wacky, and it's like not metal. So it's weird for like metalheads to be like this shit. This is metal.
Yeah. But there's no logic.
This is you can't win with these fucking people.
No, and those are the people we probably shouldn't be arguing with to begin with. But like, so yeah, you were saying a lot about the death metal syndrome. I literally wrote down death metal syndrome because like,
that's kind of funny.
There's so many riffs that every song ends up sounding the same because.
I think specifically Sworn is one I'm like,
really?
I'm tired, y'all. Like it's not bad.
I like Swarm. But here's what I noted. It was literally the song after Swarm where I feel like the album just drops.
Yeah.
It all becomes the same song. Because even after Swarm, I think it's known as Equilibrium. Ugh, God,
there's some ugly sounding drum, like the drums in the intro sound
really
like stereotypical black metal. All this.
It's a quick little taste.
It's never a quick little taste.
It's never.
Bad.
You like that?
I don't know. Like, it sounds off, and then when you bring in the other instruments, it's fine to me.
That's the thing with those types of drums in general. Like,
they always kind of feel off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going so fast. How good are you to match a click at that speed?
Yeah.
But
fucking hard.
That's the thing. Like with quote unquote death metal syndrome, is like when every song has a million riffs, you kind of take away any identity that that song has.
Yes.
And then when you throw a bunch of songs back to back that all have that, it's like, what am I doing?
It's hard. It's like they get stuck together.
Yeah.
I think a bright spot at the end is Of Blindness and Subsequent Sears.
I like the outro a lot.
I just think some of the best guitar playing
Really?
on that track. It's like one of my favorite
All right.
song here.
Yeah, that's one where I had to note the outro. Yeah, I didn't care much for the song itself because it just bled into the rest room, but that outro was like, all right, that's got to give to that.
I think if you take like a break and like you just put that song, and you could say that about
a lot of songs, you can do that.
But
absolutely.
This one specifically, even amongst the death metal syndrome, stood out to me. So.
That's a thing with like, I bet if I were to just pick an album and then just listen to it in reverse order, I would like the end songs more. Like it's just a thing where you just get fatigued with like this style repeatedly. And the thing with like, at least the first album, everything was, I guess it was, first of all, everything was aggressive. And while it was all ugly and bitter and dark, each song really did feel unique, where these ones are all just the same kind of dark.
Yeah.
They're all the same kind of evil sounding.
In my notes, I had it written down, like, unless you love extreme metal, don't do what we do. Don't listen to more than one of these albums a day.
You would be doing the album a disservice. Yeah.
Yes, it was exhausting. I had to come back to two of these because I listened to them on the same day and I'm like, I'm tired.
So here's how
I'm beat.
I totally get it, but here's how I know I'm getting better at this podcast.
Yeah.
Is where I'll do the whole thing. I'll listen to all the albums. I'll have all my notes down and I'll start second guessing myself. I'm like, okay, I don't remember this album enough. I'm going to go back and then I'll feel the same when I go back. And lately it's been like consistent. I always feel the same when I go back. So I feel like I'm making like solid notes the first time.
I agree with that aspect of it, but I just felt like this discography in particular, I was like, this is like beating on my soul. Like,
gotcha. So we got to mention the sung vocals are getting more and more apparent here. Like
yes,
the last album they were, sprinkled in. Here they're like, this is what we do now. We're gonna do this whenever we want. And they're just so goddamn Dungeons and Dragons-y. Like I can't do it, dude. I can't take them seriously. And
it's part of the reason power metal is so fucking funny to me.
I hate power metal.
I knew you would.
And good. I'm glad. And I'll mention it more in the next album, but I hate some of this stuff the same reason I hate power metal. It strikes the same kind of thing in my brain. The orchestral stuff is very, I don't know, it's fine. But again, like just the writing doesn't feel strong enough. I do stand by a lot of the first half. But anywho, Alex's worst. It could be worse, but still.
And also, I don't think these dudes really put out a bad album, but me personally.
So now we are on to the last album. Man, these album titles are wretched.
Comically
They're
long.
Fucking ridiculous. This is 2001's Prometheus, the discipline of fire and demise. I want to kick my own ass for saying that.
Do you think anyone calls the album by that? They probably just call it Prometheus.
Yeah. Who the fuck would refer to the goddamn?
It came to silence. There was nothing.
Aw, yeah.
So here's something I noted. Starting out your album with a harpsichord? Bold. Bold to start your album with a harpsichord. Dude, those MIDI strings are atrocious.
Maybe I just got like indoctrinated by them, but at this point, I'm just like,
it's so silly.
I'm like, you sons of a bitches. I'm in.
You sons of a bitches.
It's the spicy harpsichord.
Oh god.
I forgot this was this long.
It's so long.
Dude, yeah, my brain with this band is misleading me.
That's so funny how you can hear like the strings with the band aren't that bad.
No, that's like
But
really cool.
By themselves.
Yeah.
It's so bad. This is at 10 symphonic black metal. This is like the most characterized it's been.
I think it works better than other songs, though. Outside of the harpsichord intro.
Yeah. I do like this song. Yeah, starting the album with sung vocals and some symphonic stuff and the harpsichord. Like, clearly this dude has a vision. And let's talk. And we all know how I feel about this.
Yes.
Clearly, this is my worst and least favorite, but
This was... Oh, sorry.
it's not like it was more of the same reasons I didn't care for the last album's second half, but way more silliness, way more ridiculousness, way more parts where I was just cringing and I couldn't handle the fucking vocals and the ridiculous synths. I'm like, okay,
That's
I can't.
interesting that it stood out to you more on this album.
And it's more symphonic black metal than the last time I really felt death metal.
Yeah, that last album is like unrelenting.
Yeah, this one, there is way more of the symphonic shit. There's way more of that. There's way more melody. There's way more singing. There's way more of what Ihsahn wants.
This was composed entirely by him.
That's never a good it's like sign when I hear with bands like and this one album, one guy wrote everything.
Yeah. So sometimes it is like is CCR, like Fogerty was kind of the guy, and
right. But I mean like a band who traditionally wrote as a unit and then one album, it's one guy.
Yeah.
Like the one exception is Mr. Bungalows California, where Mike Patton wrote the whole thing, and that's a good album, but it's not really exactly kind of like the other stuff. But I like stuff here. I like Depraved a lot. I think it's a good song.
There's some great noisy parts before it goes into shredding.
Yeah.
But also it was that song, I was like, this is fucking exhausting, but I'm for it. I'm here for Depraved.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly better than the Eruption, the first track. I think Empty, doing those electronic pulsing techno noises.
Dude, put on a minute 5 of Empty.
I'm glad you minute 5.
Holy shit, man.
Hold up. Don't screw me over, mouse pad. Okay, let's do this.
Here we go.
I feel like my friend Lee J would like this part. It's very, very Rammstein-y.
Oh, it's a funny comparison. And now we're back.
But like, that's what I mean. That's what I mean about the silliness. Like, sure, it stands out. It definitely gives the album a character that the last one did not have. 100%. I don't like it. That's just it.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think I was this indoctrinated at this point.
With all the
yeah. Do whatever you want, guys. Let's support it. The Prophet. That's some clean singing I can get behind.
I like that song. I didn't think I liked it, but then I was at the market. I was shopping. I was like, this song is really good. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That, I wish all the clean singing was like that instead of the over the top. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, I still found parts of it to be a little cringy, but overall, it kicks ass. Man, the vocals in The Tongue of Fire hurt my soul.
Do they?
My God.
That song was, I think, one of the weaker ones, to be fair. Yeah, there's also some, like, it feels like some more, like, goth inspired stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I mentioned a little bit before about the power metal thing. Like, the synth stuff here definitely activates the same fucking anger hormone that it does in power metal, because it's like, because it has these like really, really prominent strings in this blasting section, for example. I feel like they're so fucking power, like they're so unavoidable. It really like detracts from the heaviness it detracts from the heaviness of everything when he has this really like whimsical keyboard line going over this. Like it all of a sudden just doesn't feel heavy in my brain.
Yeah.
Like
don't ever listen to Children of Bodom.
I won't. Thank you.
I think they're fun though, but
a lot of that.
A lot of synths.
Yeah, not for me.
I'm gonna throw some on for you after the pod.
Oh, delightful. What am I saying? Where is it? Yeah. I think no, the tongue of fire. Yeah, as much as I hate that fucking shit. Like the outro, dig the outro, a lot. But yeah, the sameness here. I was almost getting mad when I was listening to it, and I had to like stop and then come back later to finish it because, like Gray, for example.
Gray, there's like a noise riff on there. I didn't time mark.
There are so many riffs on there.
Yeah.
It's a fucking, this is what I wrote down. It's a double pedal filled, screamy, high pitched, waily, nonsense riff salad of a song. There is just so many and it's like, so.
To let you know how different our brains are sometimes, I just wrote pretty wild shit.
It's wild shit. It is wild shit. And the thing is, that song is just one example. It's like the whole last chunk of the album. It's like, it's death metal syndrome in a way that's like, it's not a million riffs in one. It's like one absurdly long, complicated riff.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like when one riff is that complicated, it feels like it doesn't have any kind of melodic or emotional direction. It just feels like we're just going to play a million fucking notes in this one riff, and that's the riff. And it just feels like it doesn't have any kind of soul. And that, not to sound too, douchey, but
you must hate He Who Sought the Fire.
I do hate that song.
Yeah.
It is more of that.
When you went on your little rant right now, I had a feeling, because for that one, I was like, the guitar playing is fucking bonkers.
It's not that it's not impressive.
I'm for it.
It's not that it's not impressive. It's just
I get what you're saying.
It doesn't have any kind of musicality to it. It's just a million notes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're just gonna have a bunch of fucking notes now. And with that song specifically, I could swear that they're reusing a riff from the last album, and specifically,
I wouldn't even fucking know.
Specifically, I think it's Decrystallizing Reason.
Okay.
Which is a song that we both talked about. Like,
yes.
I could just be making it up, but the thing is,
this could have been a compilation album of previous songs, and I wouldn't have.
Here's the thing.
Fucking known.
Even if it's not reusing that riff, the fact that I feel so strongly about it means they're not that different.
Yeah.
Like, that's how samey this shit is.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, did you use that riff already? I don't know. Fucking, that shouldn't be a thing that occurs to me. Like,
probably.
And I don't know, man. Like, so I actually really do like Thorns in My Grave, the closer.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the better songs, but it doesn't, like I was saying a while back, it doesn't feel like a closer. It just feels like another type. Yeah.
You could just reverse the album and you wouldn't even.
Exactly. Every one of these songs is so structurally identical that you can put them in any order, and I don't feel like they would affect the pacing, which is a thing that I care a lot about.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to albums, like, I should care what opens it up and what closes it, but these all are so fucking samey. Ultimately, why I ended up giving it words.
Yeah.
Like, it all feels so interchangeable.
I think if you're a fan of the band, fan of the symphonic shit, I think this is a perfectly
acceptable album,
suitable album.
Not a fan of symphonic black metal, I guess. If this is a fair representation of that genre, it's not for me.
Yeah. Like, I guess I have that Cradle of Filth background, so I know how wacky it could get.
Yeah,
and this is not even
it's not even close to the top.
Yeah, so
wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like this is objectively performed light years better than any of the early stuff and their peers. Like, especially,
I guess that kind of happens with time. Like,
yeah, and this is just the progression of extreme metal. It just became extreme as fuck. Like, this is extreme, undoubtedly. But there's something about the distinguishedness. That's not even a word. The distinctness, rather, of early black metal that it's worse from a musical standpoint. It's worse if someone were to listen to like, oh, these guys can't play their instruments. It's worse, but it's not. It's like, it has a charm to it. It has a feel to it. It has an atmosphere. This, you could tell me this is a different band and I wouldn't argue with you. Like, this isn't Emperor. This is Immortal, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. But I wouldn't know because that's how I feel about a lot of this stuff, which makes me the wrong person to talk about it, but it doesn't mean I didn't like it. Like, I didn't hate any of this. Except for some of the vocals. For sure, I hated a lot of the vocals.
Yeah.
But like musically, I still get why people would get off on this.
Yeah. This, it's also interesting how like the wacky MIDI stuff on the second album, I'm like, pump the brakes.
Really? That's what stopped you.
But this one, I'm just like, all right.
Complete opposite for me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
But they disbanded after this, and then they'll get together here and there, do shows. But yeah, they say they're done recording, and it's like a mutual thing. They're like, yeah, we like left a legacy behind, and we don't want to.
God bless
tarnish it.
Sorry, I back off it. Fuck Satan or whatever you like. Yeah, Satan bless you.
You know, I might I see they have a live DVD. I might check out. I might buy on Amazon if I see the price is right. I'm kind of interested.
Yeah.
What these, I can just YouTube it, but I'm an old man and I want a beginning to end performance at a high quality.
I get there's very few of those on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah, it's hit or miss. So I might buy that, see what it's like.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting band. We really like fucking jam-packed the beginning of this episode with all this lore. That's funny too. I like the fact that
the guy who hates fantasy and power metal started off with all the lore.
But that's funny though, like that a musical scene has lore. It's like, usually it's just story or history. Like, no, this shit's lore.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous, insane. Like kids, like I was obsessed with the hardcore punk scene because it's like so fascinating how these kids, you know, fucking went about creating this giant scene. But like these dudes were mentally ill and like super hateful and like this all the wrong like take a kid that would become a punk in the hardcore punk scene and point him in even worse directions, like as like the worst possible of every permutation of his life, and then you end up with the black metal scene. Like it's just the worst outcome of everything.
It's very funny. The not that there's like not gnarly dudes in punk, because there fucking are.
Indeed.
But it's kind of interesting. The country was socialized medicine and all that less strict prison terms turned out some of the worst fucking people in music.
And I mean, it's a very isolated country. It's very lonesome, I hear. I mean, all the Scandinavian and Nordic countries are like, man, the winters get really, really upsetting. Like, holy shit, man. People get depressed. But still interesting in a very dark and uncomfortable way. But recap, what you got?
Best personal favorite in the Nightside Eclipse. Worst, least favorite, Equilibrium, but not a bad album. Just what it is.
Same, not the same, but mostly the same. In the Nightside Eclipse, best personal favorite. Start there if you have any curiosity about black metal, and then run as soon as you don't like it. And worst, least favorite, Prometheus, the discipline of fire and demise, because it's cheesy, but not really because of that. Just many reasons that we already talked about. Like, fucking, I just realized it's so funny. The last episode we did was Jane's Addiction. We had the exact same thing.
Oh, where like the third...
Four albums.
Yeah.
We both agreed that the first was the best.
I dislike the third.
And I dislike the fourth.
And then I think the fourths aren't that bad.
It's such a... See, we're getting predictable, dude. We're getting predictable.
Yeah, we're turning into a sitcom with... got the same formula.
We got to bring in like a guest star or an alien or an Urkel.
Poochie.
A Poochie, indeed. But anyway, thank you so much for listening and watching. That's a fun episode. I was excited to do this. I want to do more black metal, but later when I've had a nice brain cleanse. If you want to support us, please subscribe on youtube.com/everyalbumever, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the places. Follow me on Instagram at Pope Jesse Ventura and Alex at
Mother Puncture.
And you'll find a playlist on Emperor in the description of wherever you're listening or watching. We got playlists associated with every single episode except for Sam Hain, because fuck Danzig. We just had to throw a fuck Danzig. I'm going to make that the new thing. Just throw a fuck Danzig in at any random point in the episode. And also, if you want to join the Patreon, patreon.com/everyalbumever, we have bonus episodes. We have one up right now. There'll be more shortly, as well as you get earlier access to certain episodes. You get some perks. You know, if you want to suggest an artist, you can email us. You'll get fucking first dibs if you're a Patreon second tier member, whatever the hell, pledger, subscriber, patron. That's the word.
Patron.
As well as, you know, whatever other goodies and stuff. But yeah, it's about the end of the plugs.
Yes.
Last song.
You clearly.
But, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you clearly won this one.
All right. Well, if that's the case, you know what? I think you know what, Satana from the first album. I think that's a solid one. And so thank you so much for listening and watching, everybody. See ya.